Krista, it is so good to have you joining me on the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, I am so excited. It's a pleasure to be able to connect. And Robyn, I'm ready. I think what we need more is just this girl talk, casual conversation, and just like really, really good girl talk.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And it's so fun, like, especially when you're connecting with other entrepreneurs and jewelry business owners, because the challenges that you're going through, the highs and lows that you're going through, that's so often when we're on this journey, we feel so alone in, and we're like, oh my gosh, like, what's wrong with me? Or why am I going through this? When you start talking to other business owners, you realize, like, oh, this is the journey. This is the journey we're all on. And the lows that I'm feeling, the highs that I'm feeling, the challenges I'm navigating are not unique to me. It's things that all of us are going through. And when we start sharing and we start talking about it, we feel less alone. We feel like, oh, okay, well, you know what? Here's ways around it. We learn from one another. So it's just so many benefits. And I'm so excited to have you here today, Krista. And I know you have a really powerful story. You have a really raw and real story. So, can you take us back to that rock bottom moment that kind of changed everything for you? And what kind of sparked the first step towards turning that pain that you were feeling into your purpose and into building this jewelry business?
Beautifully said, Robyn. I think a lot of the times when we're in that, like you said, whether it's the discomfort, the uncertain, or we're just feeling like, how could this possibly be going on? And I think the more that we, one, make friends with what we're going on, two, actually bring voice to it, because I think when we say it out loud, we realize that we kind of open the door for other people to be like, holy shit, she's dealing with that too. I'm not alone, right? And I think that's a huge part of it too. In my journey, all of my rock bottom moments, as much as they sucked, were actually stepping stones to get me to where I was, right? So I think my biggest takeaway would be, man, like sometimes we don't go far enough for it to not suck, right? When it is so difficult like that and you feel like you're in the darkness, I think the best thing you can lean on and trust on is yourself. And I think a lot of the times we lose that belief, we lose that confidence, especially when it does get hard. So I think, I'll share a little bit of mine, and mine was kind of more of the postpartum journey after having kids, and nobody can prepare you for that too. When you're kind of like throwing something that's so foreign to you, you just one have to figure it out on your own. You can ask for help and guidance, but literally you do have to take the steps yourself. People can be there to hold your hand or be there with you and support you, but I think the strongest thing you can do in the whole thing is be like, okay, I need to be my own number one fan, my biggest cheerleader, and we're going to take steps forwards, even if it's uncertain, even if it's dark. And for me, what that looked like, Robyn, I would get up every morning and I would be like so severely depressed, which was so foreign, such a foreign, I guess, vibration and energy for me. Cause everybody's always like, oh my God, you're Susie Sunshine. You're always just so happy. But when something gets thrown to you like that you're not, it's completely foreign to you. You're like, okay, like you don't even recognize, you don't even know what to do. So I think what, my biggest takeaway was just connecting back to something that I knew was purely just for me, right? Just for me. And that was, I get up and I'd grab these bright, beautiful, colorful Sharpies and these dollar store journals, and I would just write out words and affirmations, anything that was better than what I was thinking up here. I would just write that for months and months and months. And a lot of the words didn't even make sense to me. Like I didn't even know why I was writing them. It was just like, you got this, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're loved, like keep going. And a lot of those things, really, it was just, I don't know, it didn't even make sense in the moment. But the more I did it, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know exactly what day it was, what the shifting moment was, but it was just like, I started to believe these words. I started showing up as them. I was like, oh my God. I was like, it just, that repetition just brought out something in me. And then the colors were uplifting, the words were uplifting. I thought, oh my God, it literally sparked something in me that like these hardest moments that I was going through, I was like, okay, if this is helping me, then maybe there's just like, I again, going back to voicing this, I know I can't be alone. If I'm going through this, I'm sure there's other women that are going through it too, right?
Mm.
So I just decided, I'm like, within myself too, I was like, my best friend told me this probably 6 years ago, and it's the best piece of advice I've ever got. When I'm struggling with something, she always tells me, like, to create. And I'm like, what the heck does that even mean? Are you crazy? That's the last thing I feel like doing. And there's so much power in that. Because like, even like, look at Taylor Swift, half of her songs come from something, some place of hurt or darkness or some sort of challenge that you're going through, but there's so much magic in there, so much magic. And I think just the way like society is and maybe how we've been raised, we're so conditioned to push that away and stuff it away and hide it and try to get away from it. But in that is so much magic, so much magic. And I think this is something when you've gone through it, like for me, I'm like, there's been multiple huge setbacks in my life. And I keep resorting back to that, being like, okay, there is always magic in this mess. Where can we find it? And what is one small thing that we can do every single day to just flip that perspective, right?
Yeah, that's so powerful, Krista. Thank you for sharing. And I'm sure we're going to have so many women resonating with a lot of what you just shared in your story. And one thing that really stands out to me is that advice your friend gave you about, creating. And I see this all the time. And I've been there as well. I've been at rock bottom. And often the tendency is to be like, okay, let's think and let's dream and let's plan. And you actually can cycle into a place of being very stagnant and very stuck when we get overly into our heads and we're not taking action. So that advice to just create, or what I say to my clients is just take messy action, embrace messy action, because there's only so many lists, there's only so many plans, there's only so much thinking we can do to try get clarity over what direction we're wanting our business or our life to go in. And what we actually need to do is just start taking messy action, start creating, and let the clarity come with action, because with action comes motivation, with action comes clarity, with action comes like a sense of confidence in ourselves. And so I just really love that you shared that. And now I know you've obviously gone through like a lot. Like I resonate with a lot of your story as well. And I think what it sounds like you went through at one stage was that thought of like, well, what is my purpose? I've had my kids, like, what's my purpose? What am I doing here? And it's so easy, as I said, to just like start chasing what that purpose should be instead of just allowing it to like reveal itself, start creating, and allow yourself to sit in that space where it's like, I don't know what my purpose is, and I'm feeling drawn to like the colorful markers, and I'm feeling drawn to writing these inspirational words down, and I don't know what it's going to look like 5 years from now, but I'm just going to go and allow it to kind of reveal itself to me and kind of create that version of myself without being clear on what the final picture is. Talk to us about how you work through that, because so many women struggle with this.
That is so beautiful. And I think what you said beautifully in there too is I think a lot of the times, like you said, we get so caught up in like, what is my purpose? What is my mission? What do I need to do next? And like, what is my 5-year plan? And every single time that I fell into a rut or a setback or a struggle, it was nothing that was this big, grandiose thing. It was small, little steps, little things that led to big things over time, right? And I think that's where we're always like, just hit me over the head, universe. Like, what is this big thing that I need? Or I need to have it all figured out. But you don't. Like for me, everything has just been one ask, one email, one quote that I wrote. Like you just doing something, taking those small, like you said, messy, doesn't matter, but just keeping that momentum and keeping that confidence in yourself instead of just staying stuck and like, I think that's all it is. And as silly as it sounds, like it always resonates back to me. Like, what is something like just silence the whole outside world? And what is something, if we can just listen to our hearts, is just something that brings us that little bit of joy, right? And I think a lot of us, like, we forget to have fun and we forget to go back to that. And I'm like, a lot of the things that have helped me through my life is kind of going back to like your childhood and like, what does that little girl need, right? And like, what is something that you can just give her? And whether that is creating, whether it's getting outside in nature, just like, we just need to nurture ourselves a bit more. And I think it takes the pressure pressure off, where I know like a lot of people that are entrepreneurs are maybe high achievers or want to keep like the to-do list, the task list and all of that. But the more I pushed, it almost like I went backwards. And the more you just let go and go with the flow and let go of the expectation of what needs to unfold and just let it, we have no idea, right? I had no idea that by just like drawing these mantras out every single day would get me through depression. I had no idea that would lead to my next big business idea. And then that thing would unfold into, oh my God, then it would lead into like a big colorful launch. And then that ended up being the biggest thing through the darkest part of COVID. And it's just like, you just don't know, right? Like one thing always leads to the next. And when we look back, the dots always connect. But when you're in it, maybe it doesn't make sense, but I think we just need to trust ourselves just a little bit more. I think that's the key component, right? The love and the trust. And yeah.
I completely agree. We have to trust that we're able to handle what life throws at us. And it takes away so much anxiety. And like, I'm saying that now, being like fully guilty of like leaning in, like feeling anxious and not trusting myself during seasons. But the more we just like allow ourselves to lean into the challenges, lean into the unknown, recognize that, I figured out a way, I made it happen. The more we build confidence as well within ourselves. And that makes a world of difference when you're navigating life from that place of like, hey, I'm not fearful of what the world's going to throw at me because I have the confidence to know that, hey, even if I can't figure out a way, I'm going to be okay. The sun's going to rise the next day. Things are going to keep moving forward. 5 years from now, I'm not even going to remember that challenge that I went through probably anyway. And it just puts things in perspective. So talk to us about like this transition, because you went from writing these affirmations for months, it sounds like, to then obviously having this really successful 6-figure jewelry business that's really rooted in authenticity. And that's not an easy thing to do. Talk to us about how the jewelry came about.
100%. And I think this is the number one question I get asked too. And I do love it because I just think comparison is the thief of our magic. It's literally the killer. And I think what the most beautiful thing, and I think it's the highest vibration, is authenticity. People can feel that, right? When you're putting out something that just came right out of you, out of your own little imagination, right from your heart, and you're putting that love out into the world, people can feel that. Like it's a vibration, it's an energy, and it is so beautiful. And for me, that's where I think happens in that magical time. Every single piece I have created and still to this date comes from something that I am struggling with, something I want more of in my life, or something that just, I'm not sure what it is, but it's almost like I'm trying to manifest it into my life. So most of my stuff is coming from a place of pain into purpose. And I think that there, like within that there's so much magic. When you said, I really resonate with this. It's like, how can you take your one idea and how can you monetize that to be a 6-figure brand, right? For me, I literally started, this is like the craziest, I just feel like so guided sometimes. I found a penny on the ground. And I put it on I beaded up a bracelet. I put it on the bracelet, and this was April 1st of 2013. April Fools, like no joke. Mm-hmm. And I posted it to Instagram. It was my mom's 1965 penny for her birthday. And it went absolutely viral on Instagram. It was crazy. And I thought, oh my God, like I had thousands of messages. It was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And I had businesses like placing huge wholesale orders. And I thought, okay, this is weird. I was a hairstylist at the time and I can't, okay, but we might have something here. Mm-hmm. So it was just like one of those things where it just came from a little idea. I had found a lucky penny. I wanted to make my mom something with it for her birthday, just a cool, creative idea, posted it, and it literally unfolded for me. And if I would have just taken, like, it's just those small little uninspired action. I was just like, it was just so crazy. Like you said, it could be messy action and you just don't know what is going to happen. So that kind of like started unfolding this huge thing for me where I was like, okay, I just decided to run with it. And I ended up leaving my job as a hairstylist because this was no longer like a side hustle. And I thought, okay, what's next for me? And that's where the universe literally was like, okay, we want to have kids. Life is really good. We're going to throw kids into the mix. We're going to throw like getting married and building a house. And then that's where like another little gift of the postpartum depression. And then that kind of stumbled into a little bit more I don't want to bring up anything for anybody, but we'll keep it at that. And it kind of like more things kind of came with that depression that I would like to admit, but it was like, okay, how do we work with this now? And then that ended up me taking these words that were helping me get through this dark time and these bright colors. And then I decided to stamp those words on jewelry. And then I started putting that on to my pieces. So it kind of transformed from like a creative place to a place of purpose, like where it was more of like a healing journey, ended up being part of my creations, right? And I think when we just kind of ebb and flow with our own life, it was like there really was no other way to do it, right? It's just like you just had to take these actions because it was like it was so part of you. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like that too. They put so much love and heart into their business that I think like when it does come from that place of authenticity, others will feel it. It you don't even really have, and it's so much easier for us to sell when it's something that we love and are so passionate about, right? Too. People feel that.
Oh yeah,
Right?
100%. People can feel conviction. And I was looking at your page earlier as well, and even just speaking to you, what you have so much of, and this takes time. This is not somebody listening can just like grab, but what you have is conviction. Like you have this passion and this knowing that your jewelry has an impact on people's lives. And how do you build that? You build that by going, taking messy action, selling, getting feedback, and stacking evidence again and again and again and again that all these people are like, oh my gosh, this means so much to me. This has changed my life. This is whatever. And we just start stacking evidence. And so what I really love is because that's a key differentiator. You know, when we talk about this is, I want to come back to some other things you said, but when we talk about revenue driving activities in a jewelry business, it's like post to Instagram, do podcast marketing, do email marketing, reach out to stores. And there's a difference between somebody just doing those activities and doing them with conviction. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this example, Krista, but it's like a brilliant example. We get people reaching out all the time asking to be a guest on the podcast. And like, quite honestly, we can't reply to most of the messages. Or we're just like, hey, thanks, we'll add you to the waiting list. You sent a video of like 1 minute, 30 seconds, just being like, hey, I want to come on. I want to talk about this, this, this. And I didn't even have to watch the whole video to be like 100%. This woman has conviction in what she's doing. She has that conviction that she's making an impact. Of course, I want her on. And so that's just something for people listening to keep in mind as well. And you build that over time, but you have so much conviction in what you do. And I just love it. I think it's so inspiring for business owners who are maybe a little bit further behind, or designers who are so talented but have a bit of like, they hold themselves back from self-promoting, because that is huge in the design industry. Like I just see so much hesitation. And I know like self-worth is a huge part of your brand. It's a huge thing that you're pushing with your customers. And so do you have any daily practices for any women listening who are struggling to see their own worth right now that you'd recommend?
Oh my gosh. I was like literally like just wanted to come across the screen and hug you. Oh my gosh. Seriously, it is one of those things that I don't know what it is, but I have always had an inner knowing since I was like 4 or 5. I was just like one of those crazy ones where it's like, I'm going to change the world. And I still believe that. And I think, you know what it was? For me, you definitely build that over time. I wasn't like every single day, like believing in what I'm doing, which are we allowed to swear on here?
Sure thing.
Yeah. I was
We
like,
do have kids listening, but like, but you guys can put it on mute for a few seconds. Give Krista.
But I was like, you can't make this shit up. Where it's like, you know what? I think that was my biggest thing that really drove me nuts, where I knew what I was doing. I was so talented. And this will happen to a lot of people. Like you said, you will see so many people that are so talented that maybe don't even believe in their own work enough or themselves to put it out there. Like, just like selflessly like put it out there, because I always say like, how selfish of you to not put your beautiful stuff out there, because there might be somebody that needs your message, that needs your design, that needs what you put on, that is going to make them feel so special and so loved and celebrated today. So that's how I feel. I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, no girl left behind here. Like, that's what I mean. I'm like, if I have something that I can put on every day that's transformed my life over this last 8 years, I want that for every girl. I want you to wake up knowing that you're a badass, you're a rock star, you are amazing. And if we can so easily think these negative and limiting, lack things about ourselves, why can we not fully step into our power that we know we have, but we're just maybe a little bit scared to share that spark and light, right? And that belief in ourselves, like, that's what I love instilling in women, and that's what I want my biggest takeaway to be for anybody listening to this, that you are a gift to this world, that there'll never be another you. And you know what? Like, get your beautiful, vibrant, whatever you do, your spark, your shine, your unique talent out into the world, because someone is waiting for you. They're waiting on what you have to give. And I was that girl too, just playing small for so long and dimming my light. And I think I got to the point in that hamster wheel where I could only go around so many times where I'm like, this, like, my comfort zone is literally killing me. So I think my biggest step and my biggest takeaway for anybody listening would be just to get outside that comfort zone every single day. If you can feel that little something in your belly that maybe makes you feel like it's maybe scary or it's uncertain, keep going through that. Like, keep going through that. Every time I've had a big breakthrough in my business, I was like right there. What if you're 2 millimeters away? Do not stop. Right? You could be right there to your next big idea, your next big breakthrough, or maybe, who knows, maybe their next celebrity is going to wear your piece and you were just about to like not post that picture or not tell that friend or not send that thing, right? It's just to take that inspired action. Sometimes we just don't go far enough for it to not suck. Like, I'm in a sucking season right now, and I'm waking up every morning and I'm putting my hand on my heart and I'm going, okay, you know what? I deserve the best. Good things are coming. I deserve the best. Good things are coming. And I specifically flip that script, and I don't allow that negativity to come in, because when I'm thinking those like, holy shit, this is hard, I don't think I can do this anymore, I'm not going to take inspired action from there. So it's just put your hands on your heart and just give yourself some grace and be like, I deserve the best. Good things are coming to me today, and take action from there, regardless of, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I know something good is going to come if I just trust myself and believe in myself to keep taking steps forward. And I don't know where it's going to lead me, but it's going to lead me either this way or this way. And those paths are going to cross eventually, and we're going to find the magic that we're meant to find, right? Yeah. Maybe it might be 5 years, maybe it might be next week, but you know what? If you have, like you said, that conviction and that belief and that 100% like certainty that you are so in love with what you're doing and you're helping and you're serving somebody bigger than yourself, keep going, girl. The world needs your magic.
Yeah.
It needs your magic.
I couldn't agree more, Krista. Like, and it kind of brings up something that I see a lot of designers struggling with, and that is that it's like, oh my gosh, but I'm trying to build a jewelry business, but look how many thousands and thousands and thousands of jewelry businesses there are out there. And they tell themselves the story of like, the reason I'm not where I want to be is because there's too much competition. The reason I'm not where I want to be is nobody's buying. The reason I'm not where I want to be is like people are holding on their money, or they tell themselves all these stories. And this is where I love what you shared about like recognizing those stories you're telling yourself and retelling yourself more positive stories, telling yourself, oh, there's a ton of customers out there wanting to buy from me and I'm not being visible enough. So I'm going to go there because good things are coming and I'm going to make myself visible, and I'm not going to allow the fear of being visible to hold me back from showing up.
Yes.
And it just makes a world of difference. Recognizing the stories we're telling ourselves, recognizing that the reason you are where your business is your 100% your responsibility. And it's not actually the competitors that are holding you back. It's you holding you back. Like, I'm yet to find a business owner who's not the biggest block, even the ones who are at multiple 6, 7 figures, because at that stage, the block is like, oh, but I don't want to let go of these things to my team members. I don't want to give someone else control of this, or I feel anxious about this next step, or, I feel anxious about implementing new systems, or whatever it is. At every stage, we're always the biggest block. I've never seen a jewelry business that's held back because of its competitors.
100%. And I think that was one thing that I definitely struggled with in the beginning, was one of those things where you're like, oh, but like, why? Like, exactly. There's thousands of other jewelry companies out there. Like, why me? But then you're like, why not me? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, it literally goes back to the way that we think. And I think that's what's so powerful about it, that if we can flip that script, like, honestly, I do this exercise all the time. And it's like, if you could write down 10 things you love about yourself right now, 10 things you're grateful for. And then on the other page, I don't like to do this, but it just shows us, if you could write down 10 things that you don't like about yourself. A sister friend wrote like 12 pages over here. So it's like, okay, why is that so easy? Yeah. But over here. So it just goes to show, like, if we can catch those little, like you said, oh, it's the economy, or there's not enough people, or there's too many jewelry, or nobody, people are sitting on their money. None of those. There is 7 billion, maybe 8 billion people in the world now. You're going to find your people. You just got to make yourself visible. You got to be okay with being seen. That's the thing. You don't even have to have the best like product out there. The one that gets seen the most is the one that's in front of the most people, is the one that's going to be recognized most. So don't be scared to put yourself out there. I remember one of my girlfriends starting out her own jewelry company, and she was even scared to wear her own pieces. And I was just like, what? Like, what? Or even like didn't feel comfortable sharing, or be like, yeah, I have a jewelry company. I was like, no, like, right? And like a lot of us are there too, but it's like just having that belief and that confidence and catching ourselves. And we have these limiting things that come in and be like, I am a rock star. I am amazing. My stuff deserves to be seen. I deserve to be seen, right? Yeah. And I think if we can build ourselves up with that and have the right community of people that believe in us too, to help push us forward. And like you said, we do need to be our own number one fan instead of the one holding ourselves back, because I'll be super guilty of that. For the last like 5 years, I was just like dimming, shrinking, being like, I was doing very well, but I was like, I think sometimes you're like, oh, we're doing good. But then I'm like, sometimes good is like not a good place to be, right? Sometimes you're like, you're meant for excellence, honey. Like, come on, like pump yourself up. You can do so much better. And I think when we're just like, give ourselves that permission to be like seen and just shine, it is so beautiful. And not in an arrogant way. It's like one of those things where you see somebody, like I always say, like, you see somebody else shining so bright, it's like they're lighting the way, and you're like, yeah, if she can do that, I can do that too, right? It's like giving women permission to fully step into who they are. Because like I get this all the time, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I'm just this, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, can we just not do that to ourselves? And like, oh, I just make jewelry, or I just do a few of these, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we just need to, like, the confidence level just needs a little bit more of a boost, right? I remember being at a conference and they asked all of us in the room, like, what would be like your dream salary to make this year? And the girls are like, like 100,000, and some are like 1 million. Yeah, $1 million would be good. And then there's like the few men in the corner, they're like 10 billion. And we're like, what? Like, what is that? Like, why are we not that kind of, like, not that it's always about the dollar value, but it's just like, it's still that sense of worth where you're like, come on, sister friends. Like, we are made for more. We are made for more. And it doesn't matter what you're selling or what you're doing, but like, I always say, like, don't half-ass it, man. Give it your all. Put your heart, your soul into it, and people will feel that. Oh, it's contagious. It's contagious, man.
I completely agree. I mean, your energy is contagious, Krista. I love it. I'm obsessed. And yeah, you know what? When you're saying like people will feel your energy, it's contagious. The reason a lot of people don't go all in, and they like, if you ask people this, they will not be happy admitting it, because sometimes we don't even consciously realize the reason we're not going all in. But going all in on anything, on a business, on a relationship, on anything, is very vulnerable, because the reality is you could fail. You could fail. And that is vulnerable. It puts you in a position of being judged, criticized, humiliated, all those things. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world. Sun's going to rise. You're going to learn from it. You're going to grow from it. You can pivot. But that fear of what other people think, it's really sad to me, the number of women and men and people who just never step into their full potential because the fear of what other people think is so big that they just can't do those vulnerable things, or they'll build a business but to a level that feels safe and feels comfortable, where it's like, oh, I'm at like 150,000 a month, I'm good. And it's like, I'm grateful for what I have, but it's you're grateful, but you're also scared of what the next level holds. You're scared of what being more visible holds. You're scared of the Instagram trolls because they're going to come. The bigger you are, they're going to come. And so that vulnerability is so key. Like, accepting that being vulnerable is scary, accepting that, yes, we could fail and we're going to be okay, makes a world of difference. And something else you said earlier that I really want to touch on, Krista, because it's just so powerful. You're talking about how women need to have more belief in themselves. Like, everybody needs more belief in themselves. And here's what you need before you have belief, because the reality is sometimes you just don't have belief, and we can hype ourselves up and we still just won't believe it. What we have to do is just have courage to not believe in ourselves, not know exactly what we're doing, and just start taking action. We all have courage. We all just need to start using it. And that's going to help us stack the evidence, build belief in ourselves, build confidence in ourselves. And it makes such a difference. And the other thing you said, which is just brilliant, is, how you don't want to, like, when people ask, oh, how are you doing? And you're like, oh, I'm good, or my business is good. Good is a dangerous word, and people are going to be mad hearing this as well, because we're not looking for unhealthy hustle culture, but what we're looking for is not stagnancy. Because it's my belief, as someone who's also dealt with depression, when you're stagnant in any area of your life, stagnancy breeds depression. So you can go through a season of like, yeah, I'm like in a season of business where I'm not growing at a good pace, or I'm going through a season that's just slow because that's what I'm choosing. Great. Stay stagnant for too long though. It breeds depression. It breeds anxiety. It lowers your confidence. It lowers your motivation. Stagnancy is like not a good thing. So if somebody's listening to this and you're always just saying, yeah, I'm okay, yeah, I'm good, like, why would I change things? You may want to relook at that, because that can really spiral your journey. And I'd be curious to know, your experience of that, Krista.
I laugh because if I write a book, it's going to be titled "I'm Good." And I chuckle because it's like, it kind of was like, almost like I heard this from Lisa Bayou, and she said gratitude kind of kept me stuck. And I thought, that is so crazy, where it almost is. You're like, no, but things are good. I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that, which is a beautiful place to be. But sometimes I think it's just for keeping us small and keeping us from going further into where we know we should be. And I'm definitely guilty of that, right? Where like the fear comes in and it gets uncomfortable, and you're like, well, things are good now, why should I rock the boat? And I totally get that too. But for me, I think like staying in that comfort zone and like getting, like you said, stagnant, and just like being in that place where I wasn't being at my creative potential, or I wasn't putting maybe my best work out there. When you feel like you're kind of hitting that plateau, it's just, it just, for creative anyway, for me, it's just not a good place to be. So I like when I can just challenge myself in a little bit of a way where it still feels exciting and fun. It doesn't have to be scary and shit. Like, I've failed more times than I can count. And yeah, it sucks. But like, you know what? At the end of the day, nobody's there like looking and counting, keeping score at how many times you failed, or a product didn't work, or that launch didn't go well. Nobody's keeping track of that other than you, because everybody else is so dang busy, worried about their own selves, that we think everybody's got this big spotlight on us.
Nobody cares, actually.
Nobody really cares, right? And it's like literally like me going to the beach, and I'm like, oh no, like I work out hard every day, and I'm one of those people where it's like, oh, she's good. What if she looks at my cellulite, sees my stretch marks? And like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. My God. Nobody cares. They're all too worried about their own like body insecurities over there. Like we just need to be like more loving, and like you said, just pumping ourselves up. But I think like I know like it's great, but I just know like my people like that I like to surround myself are kind of like, hey, like I remember my friends said, you used to get really excited about a launch and now you're not. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, because I usually am like putting so much love and energy into it. Something's not connecting here, right? So it's like even sometimes you just get those little signals from people where you're just like, maybe you're not aligning with your highest version and your best self anymore, and you've hit that plateau, right? And I think it's always like, if you're not
It's an up
growing, I
and
feel like a
down.
part of us is dying a little bit. And it's true. Like we are humans. We love to learn. We love to grow. And I hate hustle culture. I'm like hippity dippity over here being like, nobody talk to me. I'm trying to zen out. Like I'm not in the hustle culture whatsoever. I'm just like, work at your own pace, sister friend. Like we can work smarter, not harder, and we can work a beautiful life that way. So hustle culture, no. If you like that grinding, great, you go to the moon. But like I love my weekends and I love my evenings with my kids, so you can structure it around that too. And I think that's the beautiful part. But just catch yourself where you're like, am I not like giving it a bit more because I'm scared? Or am I just not giving it a bit more, like you said? And be honest with yourself. Maybe I'm at a great season right now where this works, right?
Mm.
This works. But make sure that's not just a nice little excuse trying to just be like, no, I'm too scared of like really going for the big guns and like the big show right now and like really challenging myself. And I feel like I'm kind of in that season right now, but I'm telling you, this stretching and this learning and this kind of like, holy shit, taking 10 steps backwards and giving it another try, I will learn way more in that than if I just stay where I'm at.
Mm.
Like, you're going to learn way more from having these setbacks and things not working, because then you're going to go in and figure it out and try and tweak and do a bit more, right? Like right now, I'm like, oh shit, that didn't work. Then we're going to try something else out. Or you're like, that's not really not for me, or whatever it is. But like, don't be afraid. Like failure really isn't that bad. It just kind of has this like weird like connotation, and like I don't know why it's so scary. Like fear, like what I actually have it written on my wall. It's like false evidence appearing real. Like what you're
Mm.
actually scared of failing is not the failure itself. Like you said, it's, oh, what's so and so gonna think, or what's my mom gonna think, or what's my partner gonna think, or what's Susie Sally that's constantly stalking my page gonna think. Nobody's really watching. They don't care. But like you said, another thing too, the more you grow, you do get more trolls. It's just the way the world works. You get more eyes on you. Sometimes I always say the two types of haters that you're usually going to get are people that are doing less than you. They're going to come at you, or people
Mm.
that you're scared that are scared you're about to do way more than them. So they're going to be
Yeah.
like, no. But like, those aren't your people. Don't let them bring you down. Those like, and a lot of those times, I
Yeah.
don't even know if those trolls are real, but just like, we don't even have any room for that. We don't go there at all. At
Yeah,
all.
you have to detach, and you have to not take on everything that is sent your way, or messages sent your way. And you also have to recognize that somebody who's truly fulfilled and deeply fulfilled and living in their purpose is not sending horrible messages to someone, or is not trying to plant doubt in their mind, or is not trying to break them down. Like typically that's always coming, like you said, from the bottom up. Like people who
Yeah.
are judging, hating on, criticizing it, it's always people who aren't doing anything. People who've done it are never going to criticize people who are on the journey as well, because they know how hard it is, they know how challenging, they know how brave and courageous you have to be to show up. And so you don't really want to put any weight on that. Like honestly, don't put any weight on the opinions or the things people say to you if you wouldn't want to switch places with them. You know, don't put so
Absolutely.
much weight on that. And I love when you know how we were saying earlier about like being good enough, like life is good. A really great thing that people listening can actually do today is write out in the last 30 days how many times you've failed. Because if you aren't failing, it's a sign that you're not doing enough. What I actually do with my clients, because failure, like you said, it's such a like, oh, I don't want to fail, I don't want to make a mistake. I get my clients, the ones who struggle with failure, we get them to get a stack of sticky notes, write no on like 150, put them all on a wall, and collect those no's over the next year. It's like, I want
Yeah.
you to go get rejected at least 150 times, because
Yes.
of that, how many yeses are you going to get? So it's
Yes.
just about reframing that, and it makes such a difference. Um, And so, one thing I do want to talk about, because I know we're running close to the end here, Krista, but this is really important because I obviously talk to so many jewelry business owners, and a lot of them have really, I'm going to say, heavy stories. You know, they've dealt with depression, they've dealt with this, and they want to build a jewelry brand intertwined with their story, but they're like, oh, but I don't want to be like living in this heaviness when I'm promoting. I don't want to be like, you know, it's like promoting from a side of like the depression or whatever it is. And you've done such a great job of honoring your story and what kind of pushed you to build this brand. But the energy of your brand is so high vibe. It's something that you want to buy into. So, what would you say to someone listening who has a story of struggle, which is most people, and is turning that into their jewelry business, and they're getting stuck in the heaviness of the story? How do we shift out of that?
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think a lot of the times when we're going through, say, like this healing journey of mine, um, I try to separate the two a little bit. And what I mean by that is like, if I am putting something out into the world that is like, say, like, for example, like when I was in the darkness, I literally was making jewelry pieces that said, be the light, shine bright. And I was putting that light out into the world. But like, even on my own page, I wouldn't share about that until like you kind of made it through and worked through any sort of wound that you were with, right? I think sometimes if we're putting too much of ourselves out there and we feel like we have to share too much of maybe what we're going through, we're just not ready to share that. But I kind of like, I put some of that I guess my darkness looking for the light into the jewelry. So it does feel like there is just this love that's going into it because that's what's flowing out of me when I'm in that. And I think, like you said, when you're stuck in that heaviness, it can feel really uncomfortable and it can feel like, I don't know if I want to keep moving forward with this or living in this, right? So I honestly say just keep taking like it, and it's for me it's always been messy. I love things to look beautiful in the end, but like it needs to start somewhere, and it always is messy. Like the first few designs weren't quite where I wanted it to be, or maybe it just kind of, I feel like my brand has evolved how I have evolved. So I think just like letting that happen, and don't put the pressure on yourself to conform, that you think like maybe you have an idea or a vision of how you want it to look and it's not quite there yet, but let it ebb and flow and get there. Like this was like a whole like 8-year cycle for me to get to where I am. And like, yeah, maybe I wished it would have been faster, but like when I look back, I'm like, it ebbed and flowed just the way it was meant to. And I think that's just for us in our own healing journey. Like I think now that it's all bright and colorful, I've made it through a lot of these challenges. And I think that it's represented in my work, where now I feel like I can put myself out there more. It was more of just the jewelry speaking. And now I'm like, I want to speak because I feel like I've put myself, I've done the hard work and healed through a lot of the things that I've tried to work through. And now I'm like, I want to be able to give that magic to other women too, right? So I think don't put a timeline on it. Don't like restrain yourself in it, and just ebb and flow with it, because you're going to go through highs and lows and peaks and valleys, and just let your jewelry do that too, right? I think so much we just like think it has to be like a certain way, and it's okay. Like some of them, it like it doesn't even have to make sense, but it will when you look back. Just take the action. I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes we just stay stuck, and if you don't know what to do next, just, it can, like, I love how you said that. It can be messy. I think all of my steps were messy.
Yeah.
All of them. And they're finally starting to form into this thing where I can, like, I feel like it's taken me 11 years to get here, but that's okay. That's okay. Just take the action.
Yeah, that's such beautiful advice, Krista. I completely agree with you. And this
Yeah.
has honestly been such a fun conversation. Thank you for joining me, sharing your story so vulnerably, and inspiring our listeners. I know a lot of them are going to want to follow along, check out your jewelry. So, where can our listeners find you? Where can they check out your jewelry?
Yes. Well, what DBL stands for is Dream, Believe, Live. So I just thought it was really funny as we're talking a lot of this. I'm like, I've always had this big dream. And if you believe in it, literally it starts to unfold and you're living this dream that you created in your own mind. So I tell people all the time, like, just start with that dream. Like we're not dreaming big enough. And I know everyone listening, if you have your own business and your own brand, you are definitely not dreaming big enough. Like whatever it is, 10x it, my girl, because that's what you deserve.
I
That's what you
totally
deserve,
agree.
right?
Totally
So
agree.
they can find me. I'm on like every single platform possible, like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, like Pinterest, you name it, I'm there. Always got the bright, colorful electric lemonade hat on. So it's like my beacon of light always. So it's DBL Designs, Dream, Believe, Live Designs. .ca for my website or Instagram. And every place is a platform for women to come just to feel seen, heard, accepted, and loved. So everybody is welcome there just as they are. It's about uplifting women, having more confidence, more love, and belief in ourselves, because everybody listening is a badass, is a rock star, and I cannot wait to see what they do next, because the world needs your freaking magic. Like all of it, all of it, all of it.
I love that so much, Krista. Thank you so much. We'll link all of those in the show notes so you guys can go and follow along and connect. And thank you so much for being here. This has been such a fun conversation.
Well, you're amazing. Thank you for having me, my girl. What a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Krista.